6 years ago, my wife had our fourth and final child. At that point, we felt we were done. God had given us 4 healthy children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and that was it. About a year and a half ago, we received a phone call stating that my niece was in jail. Her son Gavin was picked up by state custody, and we didn't know where he was going to be placed. And so we had a family meeting with our kids, and we decided that as a family and a whole, we would do everything in our power and our effort to see if Gavin could come live in our home.
I think our main question to each of us was, are we doing the right thing? Is this right for our family? We had prayed about it. It felt like God had answered and said yes, but we still kept questioning it. And as we questioned, we just simply said yes. That very first afternoon when he was dropped off at our house, I felt like a mom being handed a newborn child. But this newborn child was 9 years old. And with that came memories that were unerasable and a lifetime of stuff he'd lived through that I could never take away. There was abuse, neglect. And to be quite honest, we didn't even know how to love a child who had suffered abuse or neglect. This was all new to us. And though we had 4 children, this felt entirely different.
Some of the struggles we were faced with was that Gavin came from a family that didn't put education first or didn't believe it was important. He struggled in the classroom. It was just an area where he just never really succeeded at all. And so we spent a lot of time and effort and resources to try to get the best for him. Our other 4 children constantly felt neglected or constantly felt where Gavin was getting all the attention.
Our kids just really didn't understand fully because we couldn't tell them so many details about his past life. It just felt overwhelming, and they just saw us sitting at the table trying to help him bring his grades up or bringing him to appointments. And at one moment, our oldest son, he just flat out told us, he's like, I hate this, and I wish I'd have never said yes. And we just broke. It just broke our hearts. He felt like he hated him. And he hated us. And so we just started praying. And one night I'd put all the kids to bed, all 5, which takes forever. And I sat on our couch, and I just felt so overwhelmed, like I hadn't given my best to anyone, and they all just went to bed without receiving my best. That night, I sat on our couch, and our couch faces our mantle on top of our fireplace, and there was a sign that I'd put there months before, and it said that God doesn't promise sunshine without rain or laughter without tears. And one of the last lines says, He just promises strength for the day. And I just clung to it. I said, God, I'm sorry for not trusting you enough. You just promised strength for the day. And I clung to Jesus' words. I think from that moment forward, I would wake up every single morning and say, today is a good day. All 5 of my children are safe. And I let go of every single thing I had been worrying about for months. And I just held on tightly to God's promise of strength for the day.
Trying to raise Gavin was very difficult for me at first. When he came into the home, I wanted them to feel welcome, but it was just hard for me to love him just like one of my other children. It took time, and it took a lot of prayer, and it took a lot of effort on my part. It took months before I was actually able to treat him like one of our own children. There was a lot of frustration sometimes and anger, and I just had to work hard and constantly pray to God that He would show me and give me what I needed each day to treat him the same way that all my children need to be treated.
This story of the past year and a half of our lives has been way harder than we ever imagined. But through it all, God has been way better than we ever imagined. And our love for each other and our love for our family has strengthened. And it's deeper and it's better. And ultimately, someone told me on one of my worst days, she said, Jamie, every time you open the doors to your home and invite someone else in, you are showing your children the love of Jesus. He is always opening doors. He's always inviting people in. That's who He is. That's how He loves. And as we've opened our doors and our hearts to Gavin, I can't imagine our family being anything other than a family of 7. At one point in time, our oldest child, who was his heart was just hard. He didn't understand everything. We would go into his room late at night, and we would pray that God would give him a heart for orphans. And He did, because the other day he was introduced in our family, and our oldest son introduced all of the rest of the siblings as siblings. He said, these are my 2 brothers. these are my two sisters. And in his world, it was that simple, that Gavin's now his brother. We don't know for sure that Gavin will be ultimately adopted into our family, but I do know this, that he's been adopted into the family of God, and that is what matters, because just a few weeks ago, he was baptized on stage. He was saved last Easter Sunday. He went up to the front and meant it with all his heart. It was real and it was beautiful. And that's the end of his story. That's what ends. That's what matters most. If he isn't in this house, it's okay, because he's in his real Father's house. And that's his Father in heaven, because he is a child of God.